Hi, and welcome to Beauty Revealed, the podcast. I'm your host, Candace Claiborne, and it's time for you to take the steps to revealing your inner beauty. You no longer have to feel invisible because you are seen and known by the creator of all things. So get ready to leave your beauty mark on the world. We're about to go deep. All right, guys. Welcome to today's episode. I am so excited because I'm going to get to share with you the ins and outs of the Beauty Revealed. Everything that we discuss at the Beauty Revealed is all about 4 core elements. And today we're going to go all the way deep, revealing some of my insecurities as I help you reveal some of yours so we can see your true beauty. Okay, so let's get started. Today we are going to be revealing the core 4 elements to revealing your inner beauty. There are a lot of things that many of us deal with in life, and I have had the privilege of being able to work in the makeup and the beauty industry for the last 12 years. And during that time, I've met many women and young girls who have come into my chair as a makeup artist, who I've met at workshops, and people I've talked to online. And a lot of us experience the very same challenges through our lives. And when it comes to beauty, inner beauty, outer beauty, there are so many things that we can address. And I want to talk to you about 4 main areas today. The first one is awkward conversations. I mean, how many of you guys have been in a situation where you just don't know how to talk to a person, or someone's talking to you and it's just straight up awkward? And even thinking about coming through this pandemic, right? We've had a lot of time of quarantine and being home. And now we're back out in the world, and you might be feeling like, ooh, I don't even know how to interact with people right now, right? It's weird. And think about mask and unmask and shaking hands and whatever. Things can get real awkward sometimes. And so that's definitely one area that the Beauty Revealed is all about helping people to overcome and learn how to work through. The second area is beauty insecurities. So many of us deal with beauty insecurities, whether it's how you look, your skin, your hair, your makeup, what kind of standards you're holding yourself to. I can relate with so many of those challenges. I was very skinny growing up. I'm still petite now as an adult. And growing up in the South, I grew up in Atlanta, and it was definitely that time where people were all about being shapely and thick. People are still down with that cause today. But I took a lot of time to feel very insecure. And I also took a lot of time to overcome that and be confident in who I am and the way God has designed me to be. So beauty insecurity is definitely an issue that we are always ready to address and helping you overcome so you can reveal that inner beauty. The third area is a confidence issue. How we really walk in this world. What is it that we take away when we, move into a space? What do we bring when we move into a space? How confident are you? And then the last, destructive habits. These are habits that you just got to get rid of. You're dealing with them on a daily basis. You know you don't want to deal with this thing anymore, but for whatever reason, you just feel like you can't kick it. So these are things we want to address and help to take care of. And let me tell you, when it comes to revealing inner beauty, the pain of those things is real and it's deep. And so many of us struggle with it. So don't worry about what somebody else might be thinking of you or even what you're thinking of yourself right now. We judge ourselves even with our own insecurities. Even this morning, preparing to do this episode, I started feeling insecure about the insecurities that I would share with y'all. Like, how foolish is that? Our minds want to play tricks on us to somehow keep us in a place of shame or a place of feeling like we're not enough or that we're alone. And the truth of the matter is you're not. You're not alone. You are enough. And the way that God has designed you is exactly the way you are to be, with room for growth and with room for development. And that doesn't take away from the process, what you're going to go through in order to keep growing and developing. But the core of who you are is exactly who God has designed you to be. And so we're going to walk through some core 4 elements to really help you to see that beauty revealed, even with these 4 challenging areas that you might find yourself in. Some of the things that we all struggle with And you might find yourself on this list, you may not, but I know something's coming to mind even now, right? Whether it's a challenge with weight and how your weight may fluctuate, or skin, if you have eczema or if you have acne, or hair, how we style our hair. I have had so many different hairstyles over the past several years. I can't even tell you, I've done just about everything to my hair. And I finally landed on my nice shaved bald head. Like, that's when I feel my most confident, my most sexy, my most beautiful. And that took time to really move into that space. But whether it's your hair, whether it's your height, whether it's the way that you work, your style, your personality, introvert, extrovert, Enneagram this, Enneagram that, whatever it is, where you are in the birth order in your family. I am the baby, and I say that with air quotes, because so much of how we live and move in the life that we have comes down to how we view ourselves, that identity piece. And that leads me to our very first core 4 element, who you are. And because I come from a beauty and makeup background, when I was thinking about this years ago with my husband, about how we can really help women and young girls connect to developing with their inner beauty, we came up with these core 4 elements. And they align a lot with skincare, foundation, eyes, and lips. And the first one is skincare. That's your identity, okay? That is exactly who you are, who God has designed you to be. When you think about your skin, it does amazing things for us. It protects us. It helps to keep us safe. It keeps things out. It keeps things in. Your skin is your largest organ. There's so much work that goes into keeping us alive and keeping us healthy. And so when you think about your identity, who you are, the character that you carry in this world. So when it comes down to the skin and your identity, really being confident in knowing who you are and how you've been designed, it's important to know that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. I was once told by a pastor that God delights in our very existence. And I remember when he said that, it was just like a light bulb went off inside of me. And I felt just this huge wave of acceptance and of belonging. And our identity is a lot like that, knowing that we are belonging exactly where we are. My husband is huge on this. You belong before you behave. So even when we come to discussing things with our children or interacting with other people, it's important to establish that very truth, that identity, that you belong before you behave. Now, I have to be real with you guys. I typically identify with the Enneagram 3, which is all about performance and presentation and impressing and really being able to kind of work the room. And there are a lot of sort of negative things that tend to come along with some of those Enneagram 3 tendencies, but positive things too. We're your PR girls. We're your ones that got to make sure that, everything looks good and feels good. We're going to bring the vibe. But with that said, it's important to remember that you belong before you behave. Who you are, your character, that's what lays really the base for everything else it's going to build. So if you want to overcome that awkward conversation, if you want to be able to get rid of that destructive habit, then you've got to be able to know who you are, remember who you are, and be who you are wherever you are. Think about this quote by Cicely Tyson. I'm reading her book right now. It's called Just As I Am. I've been reading it for a long time because it's super thick, but it's really good. And she has a quote in the very introduction, and she says this, I'm going to read it to you. Even now, in the winter of my life, I am just beginning to truly understand my identity. Now, when you think about that skin that you're in, your skin is constantly shedding. We exfoliate our skin. There's a process of turnover that naturally happens. New skin cells rise to the surface over and over again because we go through a process of development physically. And there's a spiritual process of development that you and I go through. So when it comes to hitting those 4 areas of concern in your life, or the 4 areas of concern, at least at the Beauty Revealed, focuses heavily on, realize and remember that it's a process. So getting to know who you are requires intention. It requires being patient with yourself, being gracious towards yourself, and it requires coming before the Creator, saying, I need you. You made me. I need help. One thing that I encourage my kids with every single day is this. Remember that it's a new day. Every single day that we wake up, we're entering into a new space that we've never been in before. And so who are we to depend on yesterday's guidance, to depend on yesterday's experience in order to walk into a brand new day? And similarly with your skin, similarly with who you are, you've got to tap into God, to the Creator of all things, to guide you for that day. So our identity is a lot like that. Being able to say, you made me. You're the Creator. The Bible talks about God being the potter and us being the clay. And just the idea that you want to be useful in this world. You want to be able to bring something that is of value and of worth and to be able to serve. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. says that everyone can be great because everyone can serve. And that's exactly what living in your skin is all about, being you, and being proud and excited about who you are. And that takes time. That takes time to really kind of get into a groove of that. Even as you adjust, even as you begin to evolve as a person, you shed that skin. It can feel uncomfortable, right? If you've ever been scratched or had an injury and the scab is healing, it can feel itchy, it can feel uncomfortable, but the scab healing is a reminder, the scab healing is a reminder that healing has taken place. So there's discomfort in the moment, but once it goes through its process, you're healed, and you may have a scar, but the scar is a reminder that something has actually been through a process and that something has been completed. It's been fulfilled. So don't allow the discomfort of you stepping into who you are and the shedding and the revealing of who you are to kind of distract you, because that's just a reminder that you're moving and evolving into a new space, okay? The last thing I'll say about skincare and identity is this. For myself, and I'm going to let you guys know, I have an issue with being late. Lateness and tardiness is something that I have struggled with as one of my destructive habits since I was a kid. I would be late to school. I was going to ISS. Y'all remember ISS, in school suspension? My grades were great, but I was going to ISS because I was tardy. Crazy tardy. It's ridiculous. I mean, my parents would leave me at home when we would be going to things because I was late. And for me, that became a part of my identity. They knew oh, she's going to be the last person in the car. It was just a thing. And unfortunately, it became a funny thing. Have you guys ever experienced that? There are parts of your personality or ways of behaving that have become, you start to identify with them, and people around you notice them and recognize them. And it's become a little bit sarcastic, but everybody knows yo, that's actually an issue, but no one is really trying to point it out to you. They've just kind of, gotten a little bit content with the way things are. And that's what happened to me until I started to realize dude, that's not cool. You don't want to get left, do you? You want to be respectful of other people's time, and it's a challenge. It really is. And so when you look at the core four and you look at the skincare, it's okay, who am I? Who am I really? If I really say that I value people and relationships and I want to be present, then being on time is exactly the way that I need to show up in the world. And there's grace to us. No matter what area of struggle you might be going through, there's grace for you. But at some point, you have to start making changes. And one of the changes that I began to make is simply letting the person know. Legit, let them know as soon as you realize, oh, snap, I'm about to be late. That's a simple shift. And then you can know, okay, maybe we need to reschedule, right? That sucks. I don't want to reschedule. I don't want to do this or that. But hey, at least you know where to go from there. They might say, hey, it's cool. Like, I'm fine. Like, take your time, drive safe, whatever the case may be. But I had to learn over time that, for one, lateness is not who I am. It's important to distinguish a difference between who you are and what you do. Joyce Meyer has this really cool quote that says, separate your do from your who. What you do is not who you are. And so it's important to realize that even with the destructive habits that you might be experiencing and living through, it's not who you are. So I am not late. That's not my being. That's not who I am. That's a behavior that I was carrying on with, that I still struggle with to this day, and I'm learning to overcome. But it's a way of living that I have been in, but it's not who I am. So it's very important to not allow the destructive habits or the areas of challenge become a part of your identity. We have to separate them and allow God to really reveal to you the truth of who you are versus what you do, even while you're still dealing and correcting those areas of challenge, okay? So let's jump into number 2, the second core 4 area, and that is foundation. Foundation is the basis of everything else that's going to build, okay? Similarly to wearing foundation on your face, okay? If you're wearing makeup and foundation, that has to blend. It is key. When I am in the process of hiring for the makeup studio that I work with, it's important to know that our artists can have a really good handle on blending and color matching. Because if you've ever seen somebody wearing makeup and you can see that line of demarcation and you can see like the neck and the face and the hairline, like it's not lining up, that's an issue, right? Because you're seeing something that looks different and your eye is like, that don't look right, because it's not blended and you can tell. So your foundation, whether it's a spiritual foundation, a book of literature like the Bible, if it's a way of living, a way of knowing that you move in and through the world, have your pillars, have your values. What are the things that really lay the solid foundation for the way that you live in this world? Because that's going to be key to building everything else in your life. So if you're going through a space of challenge and you're wondering, like for myself, okay, I'm late to things, where does that come from? Does this late behavior align with the value of caring for people, being present, as I mentioned? And it doesn't. So that's the off. That's something that doesn't blend well. So having a foundation is going to be key to allowing you to see what might be off so you can readjust, remove some things, and get things solid, right? So your foundation is really important, making sure that it's blended, making sure that it's clear, you know what values you have, you know what you're building on, because that's going to be key to you being able to have something solid to compare your issues and challenges with, to be able to know if you're off, right? Okay, so the third core element is eyes, how we see ourselves and the world around us, how we perceive things. And is our perception lining up with reality? Okay. We often hear that the eyes are the window to the soul. Eyes are a space of intimacy. It's a space of realness, and it allows you to really have an opportunity to see what's going on, really revealing. That's the revealing part really takes place with the eyes. And so this is an opportunity for you and myself to say, okay, what's really happening around me? Let me pause and kind of see and survey the area. Let me survey the issue that I'm going through. When I think about the challenge that I have with being on time, I realize that my perception of other people and my perception of myself and the value that I have for actually caring for people was off. I realized that I was willing to serve somebody else, do something else, instead of really keeping my word. And that's an issue, right? Because when I'm late to something, it's because I've put something else in a priorities position that doesn't belong. And I'm going against my word. So I started to see like, okay, pay attention to what you're doing. when you are late, what are you doing that's causing you to be late, Candace? Right? Even for yourself, if you're a person that has a challenge with a beauty insecurity, when you feel like you start feeling a little bit down or feeling a little bit, uncomfortable with your skin or uncomfortable with your look or your style, what are you doing? Who are you looking at? Where are your eyes? Because if your eyes are distracted, then that's going to be a challenge for you to stay focused on being truly who God has designed you to be. So oftentimes when I'm late, it's because my eyes are distracted. I'm doing too much, right? And so taking time to really think through, okay, where are my eyes right now? What am I looking at? What am I focusing on? Am I doing what I need to do right now? Am I comparing because I'm looking through everybody else's profile? Come on, instead of paying attention and doing the work that I'm supposed to be doing, okay? So eyes are really key to helping you overcome those areas of challenge. This is a quote that I read by Sister Corita Kent, and I love this because it really helps to shape the way that I walk in the world. And she says this: I think I am always collecting in a way, walking down a street with my eyes wide open. When you live in such a way with your eyes wide open, you start to see things you never saw before. You start to notice people you never noticed before. You start to see yourself, and this allows us to really become more fully engaged. And when we're more fully engaged in the present and what's happening, then we can become more of who God has designed us to be. And so paying attention, walking with your eyes wide open, super key to revealing your beauty. The last and final thing are lips, how we speak, what we say. I said this on a recent live on my Instagram, that speech is spiritual. Every single word that you speak has an impact, has an opportunity to amplify and goes out from you. There's a Bible scripture in Luke 6:45 that says, out of the heart, the mouth speaks. Everything that comes out of our mouths has come from a deeper place. And so I challenge you today, start paying attention to what you're saying, right? Because if you're saying something that doesn't line up again with that foundation, doesn't line up with that identity, doesn't line up with the perspective and the reality, then there's an issue, right? So pay attention to what you're saying. And then think about what you need to adjust. What are the words that come out of your mouth that need to be edifying, that need to help you to manifest and see things happen in your life? What are the worlds that you are creating with your world? One of my aunts, she says that all the time. Our words create our worlds. And it's so true. Living by design, not by default. All these buzzwords and catchy phrases, they really come with a weighty meaning, and they actually come with true impact. So beginning to affirm the truth, beginning to say things that are life-giving really do help. There have been studies that show even speaking positively to your plants, like life comes out of our mouths. Everything we say, we carry energy with us. So when you move and you speak, know that your words create your world. And so your lips are super important to seeing change and seeing development happening for your inner beauty to be revealed. So those are the 4 core elements that are going to help you to see and reveal your inner beauty in this world. Your skincare, which is identity. Your foundation, which is the pillar, the things that you build your life on. Your eyes, which is your perception of reality. And your lips, the things that you say. And so I encourage you today, take those 4 core elements and start to apply them as you begin to overcome some of those challenging areas, because I want to see your inner beauty revealed, even as my own is revealed. And it's just time, and it's a part of the process. So I hope these core 4 elements are helpful to you. I can't wait to share more with you in our upcoming episodes. Have a great day. All right. So, if you've enjoyed this episode and you are interested in enhancing some of that outer beauty too, then make sure you check out The Sparkle Bar. It's a full-service makeup studio in Scottsdale, Arizona, and they are all about celebrating the diversity in beauty. You can get so many different makeup applications there, from your everyday look to your super glam and even Beauty 101 lessons. So be sure to look them up online, thesparklebar.com, and on Instagram at thesparklebar. Go see my people. Get your sparkle on.